I wanted to take a few minutes to go over the build on my Cadillac CTS-V. Again, all the usual disclaimers apply. I'm going to forget stuff. It happens. By all means, hit me up in the comments or otherwise, and I'll try to elaborate where I missed or otherwise just forgot. So this is my 2009 Cadillac CTS-V. It's a manual, which is a rarer thing in the CTS-V world. It's also a Thunder Gray car, which it's wrapped satin black right now, but it's originally Thunder Gray, which is also somewhat rare. So it's a neat combination of a manual, rarer color car, and I've had it for 3 or 4 years now. Interestingly, the build on this is almost identical to the build on my 2010 ZR1, the gray one. And I want to run through it real quick and try to do a better job of going over each of the components than I did on the ZR1 build. So this started out its life as an LSA. We've gone through essentially everything. So it's at this point it lives its life as a Dart aluminum block, 427, which is obviously a bigger displacement than stock. Moving up from there, we've got heads cam on this car. We've got Frankenstein M311s and a GP tuning stage 4 cam. On top of that is a Kong 2.6 liter blower with a DDP intake, and this is actually one of DDP's prototypes for the 108 millimeter throttle body, which is mounted on this car. So it's got a 108 throttle body, and then it's got the ZL1 lid with the reinforced bricks. Fuel system wise, it's running a 4. I believe it's a double right now with a triple soon to be added to this setup. We're on ID 1300 injectors, and I'm gonna walk over here and see if I can see more stuff that's on here. We've got all your basic supporting mods to make this kind of setup happen, including an ice tank in the rear to keep things cool. That's what the lines are on the front here. We're pulling down to, it looks like a 275 upper, and the lower I believe is a 9. I forget, it's a 9 something lower. We're at low 20s in boost range, and power that this car put down, we got our last dyno was a 1004 wheel horsepower at 933 torque. And I'll throw up the dyno video as well right now. But it's pretty impressive, that level of power for this setup. Now, I said it was the same setup essentially as my ZR1. Obviously, a couple things different. One, the fuel system is only a double right now as opposed to a triple. And besides that, I believe almost everything else, besides the heads are actually a big difference between this and the ZR1. The ZR1 is running kind of a CT prototype head, a CT performance prototype head, and we're getting good horsepower out of that head setup above and beyond the Frankensteins that are on this car. I may do an upgrade here to something else head-wise to see if we can get any more power out of it, given that the ZR1 put down 1100 torque and almost 1100 horsepower at the wheels. Beyond this, the wheel tire setup is, I won't say it's interesting, but I was able to fit 11-inch wide wheels on the rear. So I run a 305 3519 on the rear and a 255 4019 on the front. And the rear tires are the NT05Rs, which I've had good luck with on this car. Sizing on the 19s wasn't as good as on the 18s. So the NT05R has been kind of the standard I went with since the last year or two. As far as performance goes, this car does awesome on the street. Again, it's a manual. I can drive it daily. It's not super loud because on the exhaust side, which I haven't talked about yet, we've got Cook's headers and Cook's X-pipe going into, though, the stock mufflers and then I got these stock exhaust axle back. And the reason I did that was because I had a Corsa system on. It was just too loud. It's almost an oxymoron, right? Too loud. But I got neighbors, and it was actually a nicer drive to drive with the stock mufflers. It still sounds ridiculously mean as it is. But, I mean, for the setup, it looks hilariously stock from the outside beyond the wrap. If I pulled the wrap off, it would look like a largely stock Thunder Gray, CTS-V. But it's cool because you can stomp it, and you got 1,000 wheel horsepower at your foot, basically. Beyond that, let's see what else I forgot. Oh, a bunch of aesthetic mods. I've got new lights with black backs, covers in there. I've got obviously were wrapped. I've got some carbon accents on the front lip, on the mirrors, and on the inside of the car. Um, but beyond that, honestly, it looks largely like a stock CTS-V. As far as performance, what this car has done at actual events. So we just went to Arkansas back in October of this year in 2020, and I took this car to 213 miles an hour at the mile and a quarter. I believe my best 1 mile was 204. My wife actually drove this car. She was working on her half mile times. I believe she did a 174 half mile. And then after I told her it was getting kind of squirrely at the over 200 range, she actually went for a 200 plus run and did a 202 in a manual V in the mile in Arkansas, and an amazing sight, and it was pretty exciting to watch. You know, the car in full boost over the half mile when we discovered she was actually going for the full mile. Um, let's see what else I missed. I'm sure it's something. Again, I got heads cam. Oh, in terms of internals, right? So inside the Dart 427, we've got a Cali's crank. We've got Manley rods and diamond pistons, kind of a standard setup. And again, the same thing largely that's in the ZR1. I am also running coilovers on this car, BC coilovers, which I actually like a lot. People, are in love with the mag ride, and it's not a bad thing. But I am a junkie for changing wheels and tires and stance, and so I like being able to adjust the coilovers to my own spec. So I like to fiddle around with things basically. Um, Funnily enough about this car too, I have had and will have again a decent sized stereo in this car. I like car audio a lot, and so I've got aftermarket head unit, and the complete door component setup has been redone by me. And I had subs in the trunk at one point that's been replaced by an ice tank, but subs are going back in. I know, added weight. I don't care. It'll be fine. And we may be able to squeeze some more power out of this thing, like I said. So I'm hoping to get this thing to, same as the ZR1, 1100-ish horsepower at the wheels and 1100 torque. And I may or may not spray it. I'm kind of leaning towards not at this point because it's a car I can just jump in and drive and do some fun runs on the freeway and or take it to events. But if I've missed anything, by all means, let me know, please, in the comments. Beyond that, though, this is my '09 manual CTS-V. Thanks for watching.